How you doing? How's everybody out there? I'd like to start off this video by thanking all of my new subscribers and uh, those who have been following me. I I must admit that I don't expect a lot of followers because the kind of information that I put forward is, for all intents and purposes, Call of Duty. I mean, a lot of people just can't deal with not only the truth that I impart, but the fact that these times are just too, what's the best word to put it? They're too intense for them to absorb it from this point of view. Because what I talk about is everyday life. What I talk about is extremely driven to all of our everyday walk. And to deal with this in our everyday walk is just not for everybody. You're just not going to be able to handle it. With that said, uh, this is the last part of for those who've been watching, this is the last part of the leadership session. I'm going to, of course, as you can see, I have my exhibit ready. But I'm going to put forth some victories that we have made, because not only people like myself on YouTube who are putting the truth out, but people out there like Young, Black, and Educated. They have my endorsement. I truly endorse anything that's young and is intelligent. I believe in the younger generation, although I'm older, and I don't take to any of these older folks thinking this generation is going to go to hell in a handbasket. I'm not with that. Okay. Uh, I'm also heartened, and I'm very pleased that the Postmaster General uh, indicated that he's not going to make any changes to the mailing system until after the election. Of course, like I've told you before, there's always a caveat. When they're giving up something, that means that it's, excuse me, if they're giving up something, that means that they are getting something for it in return. And I personally know that the reason, well, not only personally, but by fact, the reason why they're not going through with these changes as far as the Postal Service is concerned is because, once again, they'll be shooting themselves in the foot, because most people that vote via the mail are older white folks. So they're not doing this out of the kindness of their heart, or as they're saying to the experts on TV, oh, we don't want to show any improprieties when it comes to the election. They're not doing that for that reason. They're doing it because it's a necessity. And somebody told them, hey, you keep doing this and you're going to just shoot yourself in the foot, because most people who are old not only vote by mail, but they get their medicine by mail. And a lot of them voted for Trump last time. So they're figuring, well, if we stop these mail-in votings or make it harder to mail in a vote, we're going to miss those votes. Another thing I'm heartened about is the fact that Trump is trying to, the puppet is trying to, as a last ditched effort to drag in women. And as I said before about how the women voted last time for Mitt Romney and Donald Trump in 2016, the suffrage movement with Susan B. Anthony she was pardoned. But as you know, Susan B. Anthony wouldn't have given a rat's ass, because she wouldn't want to be pardoned, because she never thought she did anything wrong. So now to the leadership session, now that I've gotten those things out of the way. This is one of, and I'm going to show you inside. It says, if you want to know why we are where we are now in this second Civil War, it's because they lost the first Civil War. And so they can't send out large armies because, once again, as I said before, a lot of the white people that they might have had in their army are attached to black people in a relationship or some other intimate way. The reason why I harped on it so much in sessions before about us protecting our own neighborhoods and not killing each other is because of not only George Floyd letting the populace see us in a weakened state. I to be honest with you, I would have rather see Floyd going down in a hail of bullets, kicking and screaming, than laying on the concrete with a white man's knee on his damn neck. Nat Turner, see if you can see that. And I'm sorry, let me change it here. Here we are. Okay. Rebellion of Nat Turner. And people like him would have never. Gordon, there's a man on here named Gordon, escaped from his slave owner in March 1863 before reaching Union troops. A medical examiner revealed the scars on his back. Gordon joined the Union Army and served in the Civil War. See that? See that? Look at his back. Let's get that nice and close so you can see. Okay? They ain't just started doing that. Okay? But as you can see, and as you can see with Nat Turner, we black men need to do things like that. Escape. Fight. Look, some people say this is law and justice. What are you talking about? So everybody's supposed to run and escape? No. Yeah. What I'm telling you is that if that cop comes up to you and he's got to arrest you for a DUI, or if he's going to arrest you for some drugs, and you're not putting up a struggle, and he tries to do violence to you, yeah, you need to defend yourself. That's what leadership is all about. It's about defending yourself. It's about understanding that there is no reason why at this time, in this era, except, of course, you know that we're in a war, that you should go out without a fight. There's no reason why you should go out without a fight. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that you can do to mitigate their advantage of you when it comes to being arrested. Always make sure that if a cop has his lights on behind you, make sure you don't pull over make sure you don't pull over in a darkened alley or in a place where it's not conducive for you to not only fight back, but to get some witnesses, to get help in fighting. Anytime a cop ever pulled me over, unless it was there was one time a state trooper pulled me over on 28 in Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. That's a state trooper pulled me over, but I had a law book in the back seat. And he said, can I look? Because he didn't see the law book. But I was like, yeah, go ahead. Now, he caught me off guard because normally I was close to an exit. And as you go off of 28th exit, there's a sheets there on a particular exit. I think it's exit 16. And I would have just pulled in there. He'd had his lights on the whole time. I wouldn't have ran fast. I wouldn't have drove fast. I would have just pulled over in a populated area. But it was just him and me out there. And so to make sure that I got home to my daughters, because I didn't have my sons at the time, what did I do? Boom. I pulled over, but I had my law book in the back. So that in and of itself gives you an extra couple minutes. You see what I'm saying? So if you're out there alone in the north, make sure that you have something in your car that's not threatening, but lets the cop know, hey, I know something of the law. Carry a law book with you. Carry some textbook with you, just so he knows that you're not a dumb nigga that he's pulling over and that he can do anything to you. Now down south, that's a whole nother story. In Texas, I lived there in Texas. I've never had a problem with the police down in Texas. But I know that you better not allow yourself to be arrested unless it's in a populated area. I know there's a lot of back streets and country roads and all of that kind of stuff. I live in the country now. But the police down there are different than the police up here. A lot of them Trump supporters. So they don't care about you, especially now. Especially when it's getting closer to election time. Always, in this last episode of leadership, always make sure that you have, if not the high ground, because in military terms, the high ground is the best ground, or ground that's favorable to you when you're dealing with the police. Okay, and I'm not talking about people that say, oh, stop, don't do that. No, I'm talking about being in an environment where it's hostile, that a police would not normally go. And then so that he has to conduct himself professionally, you see, to protect and serve. That's the important thing. If he's not doing that, then he's not being a professional. He's part of the evil other side that's trying to kill you, that's trying to maim you, that's trying to make life miserable for you. Now, my next session will be on the mindset, our mindsets. It will have exhibits, once again, from the Civil War. Because that Civil War, like I said, is not over. It is ongoing. It has been ongoing for some time, just in a different way. And I'm not going to get metaphysical on you because, one, there's a prerequisite to get to that place. And two, spirituality cannot be reached and cannot be understood unless our everyday lives are in a place where we can be comfortable with walking around one another. And that we're not there yet. We're not there. We're not comfortable with sitting down, like Malcolm X said, that white man, sitting down and talking to me and saying how he feels, and I not get offended, and me sitting down and talking to that white man and telling him that I'm not being offended, and telling him how I feel and he not be offended. So we're not there yet. So our spirituality, metaphysical, all those ideological things are not going to be conducive, or they're not going to be understood. They're not going to be able to be absorbed by anyone yet. Until we're able to sit down and say, look, this is the problem that I have with you on my everyday life. And this is the problem. And you say, this is the problem I have with you in my everyday life. It took two men. It took two men. William Lloyd Garrison, and of course, Frederick Douglass. We can give you a picture of both. Took them both. Have a good evening.